Good morning. Welcome to First Church Unitarian here in Littleton, Massachusetts. My name is Lara Hoke, pronouns she, her, and I'm so glad and so lucky to be the minister serving this incredible congregation. If you are here with us today for the first time, or perhaps you've been coming here for decades, either way, we're so happy that you're with us this morning. We cherish your presence among us. And everything is better because you are here. And we hope to get to know you, the real you, better over time. So thank you for being with us. We have an area up front for children if they wish. And don't worry about children making noises here and there because we all make noises and it's okay. We're just glad people are here and to make noises. If you need pastoral care, you can, of course, come to me, or you can also go to one of our wonderful lay ministers. Today's lay minister is actually Jan Dustin. There she is. Or you could go to any of our other lay ministers as well, David Butts, Ann Donald, Linda Kaler, or Patty Sardella. And with that, I'll turn it over to Tim for Community Matters.
Hi, welcome. I'm Tim Harvey, and I'm on the standing committee. Announcements are available in hard copy or online. I'll just mention a couple of things. Our annual church fair is this Saturday at 10 o'clock to 2 o'clock, long-standing part of the town here. Really great time. The Trash and Treasure, you can bring your stuff. It's a really great opportunity to get rid of a lot of stuff. And then on Fair Day, it's a really great opportunity to replace that with a lot more stuff. Another thing, there's a folk festival event on Saturday, November 9th. And it's really great to see folk music coming back to the church. As most of you probably know, there was a long-standing tradition of coffee house folk concerts here for many years, so that's really great. If you would like to help out with that event, you can contact Patty Sardella. And by the way, if you'd like to help out with the country fair, you can contact Laura Semple or Bob Williams or Susan Tordella Williams or Karen Tucker Barisano. Also, there's men's group tonight at 7 o'clock. And there's quite a few more announcements in the church bulletin. The only other things, if you have cell phones, please put them in airplane mode or worship mode, as it's referred to. And if you're moving through the hallways, if you're coming to coffee hour after church, please be aware if there's people with mobility issues, just to be careful moving through the crowded hallway. Thanks, and welcome to church. Give it a ding.
This being human is a guest house. Every morning a new arrival, a joy, a depression, a meanness. Some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all, even if they're a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture. Still, treat each guest honorably. They may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice. Meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whoever comes, because each guest has been sent as a guide from beyond. The words of Rumi. Let us worship. I'd like to invite Natalie to come up and light our chalice this morning. And as Natalie lights our chalice, please join me in saying the words of our covenant. Love is the spirit of this church, and service its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Thank you. Our opening hymn is in the gray hymnal at 340, but the lyrics will also be on the screens. It's "Though Gathered Here to Celebrate," and I invite you to rise in body or spirit. Please be seated.
That's all right. I got it. Okay. Can you hear me? No? Oh. Man, now can you hear me? No. Not yet. All right, let's see. I'll make this thing work. How's that? Better? Okay. You know I can't talk loud. Well, I can yell when needed. Today's story, Out of a Jar. And girls, so you know over there, our story shows up on the big screen if you want to see the pictures. And these pictures are pretty cool. And you can sit on a pew if you want to see better. Out of a Jar. Llewellyn loved scary books, scary jokes. Why didn't the elephant cross the road? He didn't have any guts. And scary cartoons. Ooh, hello. But Llewellyn did not like to be scared. He tried to put his feelings away, here, then there, but no matter what he did, it kept coming back. Finally, Llewellyn put his fear in a jar and found a place to lock it away. There it stayed. He didn't feel afraid anymore. And that was that. Not long after, Llewellyn felt sad. His best friend Max was laughing and sharing secrets without him. Don't be glum, cheer up, someone said. So he put his sadness in a jar too. He locked it away, and that was that. Then during music class, he got so excited, but he wasn't supposed to dance, he was supposed to listen. So he shoved his excitement in a jar too, and that was that. Anger, strike 3. Loneliness, see him all the way by himself. Joy, disappointment, he put them all in jars, and that, and that, and that was that. Soon he had so many jars filled with so many emotions that Llewellyn walked around not feeling much of anything. One day, Llewellyn did feel inspired, sculpting with clay, animals. But Max pointed and squealed with laughter, dinosaurs don't have rabbit ears or butterfly wings. Llewellyn was so embarrassed, he tried not to show it. But it made it worse. Of course, Llewellyn knew just what to do. He put his embarrassment in a jar, but there was a problem. There was no more room. Llewellyn tried to push and shove and shut his feelings away. Tears of frustration leaked out of his eyes. Something rumbled deep inside of him. Suddenly, crack! All the jars holding all the feelings shattered. Every single feeling broke loose and pummeled Llewellyn with a stampede that turned him into a ragged heap of bunny on the floor. Buried at the bottom, fear was the last. Once those feelings were out, something happened that Llewellyn didn't expect. He was happy and sad at the same time. He was excited and worried, but most of all, he felt relieved. So in the future, whenever Llewellyn was jubilant or embarrassed or upset, he didn't put his feelings away. Instead, he mustered up the courage to feel them, to share them, and when he was ready to look each feeling in the eye, give it a hug, and let it go. And that really was that.
now is the time for the opportunity for generosity. As Ellen Johnson Fay wrote, "The offering is a sacrament of the free church. It is supported by the voluntary generosity of all who join with us. For virtual participants, you can go to our website, fculittle.org, and look for the yellow donate button in the upper right. There you will see details of how to donate online if you wish. You could also send a check to the church through the mail if you wish, to the attention of the Assistant Treasurer." To continue with the words of Johnson Fay, "The offering will now be given and received in grateful appreciation of our shared hopes and values." Please join me with the words of our community response. May we be transformed by our giving, and may the world be transformed by our gifts.
Thank you. Many Sundays we share a special time called the Candles of Caring. This is an opportunity to share those cares dearest to your heart with this gathered beloved community. If you have an important joy or concern or sorrow that you would like to share, if you are here in the sanctuary, we would ask that you come up to the microphone if you are able and say your name and briefly let us know how we might direct our thoughts, prayers, or healing wishes. And you can stand along the walls if you wish for going a little faster. And then we will offer an opportunity for anyone who wishes to have the microphone brought to them. And then we will offer a chance for those joining us through Zoom to share. Just raise your hand in the reactions area of Zoom, and we will call on you in turn. Are there any candles of caring this morning? But that remain unspoken. Please join with me in a spirit of meditation or prayer. Once again, we have come together in love and trust, sharing those cares dearest to us with this gathered, beloved community. Let us hold in our hearts and our thoughts and perhaps our prayers those joys, concerns, and sorrows spoken aloud this morning, as well as those that remain unspoken, as we share in a time of reverent silence. Amen, and blessed be. Have you ever thought to yourself that you really don't have enough hours in the day to do it all? Have you ever thought to yourself that you didn't have quite enough time or bandwidth to work on yourself because you're putting so much time, paid or volunteer, into working on behalf of others, perhaps into justice work or social action? Or maybe, just maybe, you've thought to yourself that you don't have enough time or bandwidth to do much justice or social action work because it takes so much time to work on yourself and your own healing. You have to perhaps prioritize your emotional healing, which perhaps has been delicate over the years, and so you just don't have that extra energy, perhaps, to your dismay, for justice work. If either of those comes close to describing your current situation, you're hardly alone. Our Western and capitalist culture has made time a precious commodity, and it's amazingly common to feel like you don't have enough time for it. You don't have time, the very important things that you wish you could do, you just don't have the time or the bandwidth. But Prentice Hemphill, author of the book What It Takes to Heal, How Transforming Ourselves Can Change the World, would tell you that maybe, just maybe, the two things go hand in hand. And maybe you can't have the best personal health and healing if you don't engage with justice and societal issues. And maybe you can't most effectively engage with justice issues if you aren't attending to your own healing. I didn't know about Prentice Hemphill until I was turned onto this book by colleagues. Hemphill, who uses they, them pronouns, holds a master's degree in clinical psychology and offers therapeutic services to people in marginalized groups. They're sometimes a teacher and a facilitator, a political organizer, and they are the founder of the Embodiment Institute. Before that, they were the Healing Justice Director of Black Lives Matter Global Network. Hemphill states quite plainly that, quote, healing and personal transformation are both necessary for social change. They believe that healing the self adds new and needed dimensions to justice work. They write, healing and social change are not, in fact, unrelated. To pry them apart, healing and social change, is to exacerbate the issue. They are inextricably linked, braided together, interdependent processes of transformation. To ask if we can heal at the same time that we engage social change is, to me, like asking if we can love at the same time we make change, or if we can love at the same time we can make music, or if we can love at the same time we eat food. Hemphill notes that we are moved to work for justice and social change. It is often the case that when we are moved to do this work, we come to it, quote, we come to the work of making the world anew because of the pain the current world has caused. Our wounds can give us the initial surge to fight back. The problem, Hemphill says, is that sometimes in this situation, our work for social change is then, quote, fueled by our most frightened, defended, and adrenalized selves. And ultimately, that's not sustainable. The wound grows even as we use it, eating away at the person who holds it, acidifying all we do, they write. I'm guessing that many of you have at one time encountered the angry activist. This is often a person that devotes an enormous percentage of their waking hours to working on some issue of justice or social change. The problem is the angry activist has probably not worked enough, perhaps sometimes not even at all, on their own wounds and past trauma. I worked with an angry activist, or actually maybe 2 or 3, years ago when I was doing a lot of peace work with other veterans. And unlike me, most of these other veterans were combat veterans. And their passion for and commitment to working for peace was truly inspiring, except when it wasn't. Except when they were yelling obscenities at the crowd, or sometimes obscenities at each other. Except when they were endlessly infighting, occasionally starting even a physical scuffle. Peace activists being violent. And this is what can happen if you try to work on society's wounds without sufficiently dealing with your own. It can be toxic. And it can drive people away from the good work that you're trying to accomplish. After about 5 years of deep immersion in this peace work, it drove me away. Hemphill reminds us of the work of researcher and author Bessel van der Kolk, who showed that trauma, which is usually thought of as a psychological phenomenon, is in fact physiological, experienced throughout the body. As Hemphill notes, when we don't attend to trauma, it can start to permeate our lives. While we may know that the initial pain can hold our bodies hostage, we often overlook that it refuses to stay within the confines of our singular bodies, that it moves through relationships within our families, our communities, and across society, multiplying the pain, they write. And the trauma of one person interacts with the trauma of another person. Traumas can become intertwined. As Hemphill writes, is it any wonder that the changes we try to bring to our communities, to the world, to the things we try to build, sometimes splinter? In short, if you don't work on trauma, psychological, physiological, it will spread. The trauma, the pain, it can spread to those around you. But there is another side to this coin, which is that working together with others toward a common vision of social change, where you feel like you belong and are part of something bigger than yourself, can in fact be incredibly healing for an individual. So what is this healing? What does this mean? What is Hemphill talking about? They describe healing as an orientation to living rather than some kind of final destination where you are healed. Healing ourselves, they write, is not the end of the line, but brings us into relationship with others and allows us to do the work that brings healing to the wider world. Healing is an ongoing orientation and always a work in process. A healing orientation to living includes becoming embodied. Hemphill notes that in our culture here in the United States, we tend to place emotional and mental well-being as though it belongs in the mind, in the brain, really, when, again, it is physiological, a body-wide phenomenon. To heal, we must, within our own limits and abilities, do some body work. And at the most basic level, this means that a healing orientation isn't all about thinking. It is importantly very much about feeling. This is at the heart of embodiment, becoming aware of what you are feeling. What are you feeling right now? Do you know? Do you feel anything in your body? It's amazing that it can be tricky to name what you're feeling. So often we try to shoo away our feelings. It's often what we've been taught to do. Sometimes you'll even overhear an adult say to children, "Stop crying or I'll give you something to cry about." In other words, stop feeling, or at least stop thinking about your feeling, or stop acting as though you're having feelings. Similarly, in our culture, our bodies are often thought of as almost embarrassments to our elegant brains. Hemphill notes that, quote, "Our bodies are much more than the fleshy vehicles for our brains." They note that one of their first memories of having a body was, quote, being told that a body was something to cover up. So, in one way, they write, "My body was first outlined to me according to which parts needed to be hidden." But bodies are so much more than that. So many of us aren't happy with our bodies, how they look, how they function. But my body is the only one I have, and your body is the only one you have. And yes, they are, in a way, vessels through which we experience the world. But rather than thinking of that as some kind of curse, we should accept and respect the vessel, appreciate it, with whatever flaws we might think it has. As Hemphill writes, "Our bodies are the expression and container of our lives. The tissues and muscles that can hold on to a trauma can also learn a dance, can live out a vision, can pick up a habit, a good habit, can grow and age. It's through our bodies that we experience and engage life, and it's in our bodies that we heal," they write. Our best thinking happens as full bodies experience, because no matter how much we try to separate the brain from the body, it is irritatingly located there, inside of it, a part of the ecosystem that is us, they write. We become embodied and we can heal ourselves when we learn not just how to think, but also how to feel with awareness. The things we learn to do with our bodies so well that we don't even need to think about them. Those are embodied. Words that you can recite easily from memory, perhaps for some of you, including our FCU covenant. That's embodied now. Singing, for those of us who sing regularly, is embodied, or playing a musical instrument. For those who are able, walking, riding a bike, swimming. Those are embodied. You're probably not thinking about it much when you're doing it. For those who know how to knit or crochet. These are skills that some of us have learned so well that we don't think about it at all. They're fully embodied. But it wasn't magic that gave these embodied activities and abilities to us. You learned these things, if you learned them, through practice. If you practice something often enough, Hempel notes, you can do it without thinking. It becomes embodied, and the importance of this is, in part, that you can practice who you want to be. Hempel writes, to transform and become who we intend, we have to practice being who we want to be becoming. They note what is repeated, learned, practiced, becomes a part of who we are. So it's not really fake it till you make it. It's practice until it's embodied. Hempel writes that though feelings seem personal because they happen in our bodies, quote, feeling doesn't need to be a solitary action. Feeling and connection bring us into the world and into relationship with one another. Some things seem too big to be felt alone because they are. They require the collective to hold the space for the big feeling, for it to move through and to remind us that we're not alone. This is the power of participating in something like the Black Lives Matter movement. Showing up with and for others can be an important part of your healing process. I bet some of you remember a tagline that the Unitarian Universalist Association was using several years ago. It was, nurture your spirit, help heal the world. And that's a pretty good tagline, actually. Now, this might not be as pithy, but reading Hempel's book makes me think of this now as nurture your feelings and your spirit, practicing embodied healing, and help heal the world. There's a big jump there. You have to be intentional about it. We have to be intentional about nurturing our feelings and practicing embodied feeling. Hempel reminded me of the words of my favorite poet, Audre Lorde, who wrote, "The white fathers told us, I think, therefore I am. The black mother within each of us, the poet, whispers in our dreams, I feel, therefore I can be free." Part of this liberation of feeling is about being authentic or real. It's about feeling your feelings and being true to them. Hempel writes, our authentic selves aren't perfected or performed. When we allow ourselves to be authentic, it's from there that we can be known. Authenticity is the root of vulnerability, of intimacy, of relationship, they write. And so this authenticity is about feeling and being aware of what you're feeling in your body, as well as what you might be thinking in your mind, and being vulnerable enough to let this real you be known. It reminds me of the words that Marjorie Williams wrote in the classic children's book, The Velveteen Rabbit. Real isn't how you are made, said the skin horse. It's a thing that happens to you. When a child loves you for a long, long time, not just to play with, but really loves you, then you become real. Does it hurt? Asked the rabbit. Sometimes, said the skin horse, for he was always truthful. When you're real, you don't mind being hurt. Does it happen all at once, like being wound up, the rabbit asked, or bit by bit? It doesn't happen all at once, said the skin horse. You become. It takes a long time. That's why it doesn't happen often to people who break easily or who have sharp edges or who have to be carefully kept. Generally, by the time you're real, most of your hair has been loved off and your eyes drop out and you get loose in the joints and very shabby. But these things don't matter at all because once you are real, you can't be ugly except to people who don't understand. Williams is absolutely right that being real is beautiful. Being real is perhaps the truest beauty. And it takes courage. It takes courage to be real, to be authentic. Earlier, we noted that trauma can be contagious. The good news is that courage can be contagious too. And working together with others who have a healing orientation to make the world better, as Hemphill puts it, we get remade as we remake the world. They write, our fantasies of perfection or utopia are replaced with something more relieving and real, that we are alive and we are connected, that there is more to learn, that we change until our final moment, that we are both powerless at times and powerful too. We have practiced, whether we realize it or not, Hemphill writes, being who we are right now. Whether or not you've thought about it, you have practiced being just who you are right now. The good news is embodied practice means being intentionally practicing, being the person you want to be and become. And practice, they say, is the portal for change. It gave me joy to see that the final chapter of Hemphill's book, chapter 10, is titled Love at the Center. Just like our new Article 2 of the Unitarian Universalist Association bylaws, keeping love at the center of our values, keeping love centered in what we do, that is our call as Unitarian Universalists. How do you put love at the center of your life? How do you put love at the center of your actions? How do you put love into the world and help to heal it, all the while healing yourself? You practice it. It's just that simple, and it's just that hard. May we have the courage to be real. May we have the courage to love and be vulnerable. And may our courage be contagious. Let us together turn the world around. May it be so. Blessed be, and amen. Our closing hymn is in the Teal hymnal. It's number 1074, Turn the World Around. The words will also be on the screens, and I invite you to rise in body or spirit. For our closing words, it's our tradition, if you're comfortable with it, to hold hands, or if you prefer, touch feet or shoulders or elbows, or to simply put your hands out and just feel the energy between us and those who are with us online. Do you know who you are? Do you know who I am? Do you know what you're feeling right now? Let us heal. Let us be embodied, learning to practice becoming the people we want to be individually and collectively. And let us heal the world. May it be so. Blessed be, and amen. Please be seated.
No, no, no.
Sheila, you're the host now.
What? It says someone made you the host.
No, they made you the host.
It says, I'm going to make you the host now, Anne.
Oh, okay.
Oh, Once again, my beleaguered name has been misspelled.
Oh, Cornelia.
Do I need, I don't know how to do anything technical. So is
Um,
there some way you turn off the sound from the background?
I
think-
move to the picture that shows the sanctuary.
I can't hear you.
Use